been a while. 2 months, I believe, probably exactly 2 months since I last uploaded a video, which was never my intentions. It just kind of panned out that way between life and the weather and just trying to just take things off. So recording was kind of put on the back burner and everything, but I've got a little bit more free time now. I'm on maternity leave. I say I'm flexible now. Baby boy can come any day now, essentially. So it's not really, but I've still a lot more time than I would when I was working, and the additional bits as well. Thought I'd go through as a little recap of what has happened with my garden over the last 2 months and everything, and just let you know. So a recap on May, as I'm sure a lot of people experienced, especially in the UK. What was that weather, honestly? The rain and the coldness really felt like a real step back, and it did get to the point where we'd have these really glorious couple of days. We had some like nice temperatures, it was sunny, and every crop I would basically had grown since like January, February, March, that was doing so well inside. As soon as they'd go out, they would get absolutely just decimated by slugs and snails. So I was gutted with that. So I started having a bit of like, I guess you could say a bit of a tantrum with the garden, and just got to the point where it was just like, do you know what? I'm gonna call it a write-off. This just isn't gonna be the gardening year I've intended it to be. I'm just gonna leave it as it is and just hope next year's better. But thankfully, by the time it came around to the end of May / start of June, the garden just did a complete 180 in like the best way possible. So I pulled out my garlic, which, again, considering the fluctuation of temperatures and weather conditions and everything, and it being my first year growing it, it came out so much better than I intended to. And I was so chuffed with myself. So chuffed with myself. I'll insert a few pictures. So the variety I planted was Eden Rose, and oh my gosh, it is beautiful garlic. It's a lot more, I'd say, not as pungent as typical garlic, but it's almost got like a bit more of a sweeter like undertones to it. Like, I sounds bad, but I've been literally eating it just like by a clove compared to typical garlic where it's a little bit more, got a bit more of a hit to it. It's so nice. So I'm definitely going to be adding that on my garlic to grow this year as well. The next crop is my potatoes. I was so chuffed with my potatoes. So I did a little bit of an experiment with my potatoes this year. So I saw a mixed bag of people saying about when you grow your own seed potatoes, and then if they're a little bit more on the smaller side, that they're basically pointless of you using it as seed potatoes. But I kept them anyway because I thought, what's the harm it's going to do? I'm just either going to get a lot of foliage, they're going to rot, no harm's done, I'll get other potatoes. All good. I pulled them up and it came out as a really good crop, considering I also planted King Edwards potatoes, and I found some leftover sprouting potatoes already literally growing foliage in one of the beds that I didn't need it to be in, and I shifted it into a grow bag. Those 2 crops completely failed because, again, the slugs and snails just couldn't leave them alone. They absolutely destroyed them. Like, they were just such a failed crop. Considering that, I had such a better outcome using those seed potatoes. And luckily I've kept a few that I've actually replanted some more. So we'll see, depending in like the next couple of months, how well they do. And then we could do a real comparison of how that works and everything. But I was just so chuffed. So chuffed. So the ones I did originally were Maris Pipers, and I kind of harvest them more as new potatoes rather than main crop or secondary crops and everything, and they were perfect. I am someone who cannot stand skin on potatoes. I just can't cope with it physically. And I pretty much ate them with the skin on because they were so soft. They was just, the skin was so thin and just perfect. Absolutely perfect. So that was another chuffed little moment for me this year. Next crop I would say is my onions, which are currently I'm currently drying out on a drying rack, like a washing drying rack. And so far, to be fair, they're a mixed bag. They're a little bit more smaller than I wanted them to be. Obviously, everyone wants the really big bulbous onions because there's no, like, that's where all the fun is. So I've got a couple that are like a decent size, but the rest are a little bit more like on a shallot type size, I would say, which isn't the end of the world. I'll still use them. My friends and family will still use them as well. So it's not an issue. And again, came to the end of May, I was looking at them and it was more foliage than it was actual bulbing. So again, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to write off these onions as well. It's another one to add to the list. And again, I was gonna be gutted with. But they thankfully pulled through a little bit more. They bulbed up between the heat, and then we had like nice little bit, like chunks of rain in between. And I gave them like little bits of feed here and there as well, and they've definitely pulled through. But definitely, if you've got a drying rack and you're trying to figure out how to dry your garlic or onions, definitely get one of those. Oh, before I forget, I've also had a redemption year on radishes, which I am so chuffed with. I think I said in a couple of videos back that I just don't have the best luck when it comes to radishes, which are meant to be like the easiest crop to grow. I had some lovely bulbs of them and they're still doing so well in the garden. I've sown plenty more, but a lot have again been devoured by slugs and snails. So one of the main sets of crops I've had, they came out amazingly. And they were like the mixed ones as well, so I got to try all the different colours and like different flavour tones with them as well. The like yellow, white ones, oh my gosh, they are so nice. So nice. So I'm very excited to hopefully get a few more of a flash of those as well. Purple ones I wasn't a massive fan of. It was a bit too peppery for my liking. But it's got to the point now where I'm so happy with how it's come out that I really want to try the different varieties. My beetroot is almost ready as well, which I'm really chuffed with. Because again, I've done multiple sowings. Only a selective amount of it has actually grown. The rest have been devoured. But again, it's coming around. I've had a couple successful carrots. I don't know if I've taken any photos. If I have, I will put the photo in as well. Oh, I had a bit of a fail with tomatoes, which I am gutted with. Because I think it has definitely set me back about like a month in regards to getting tomatoes, but it's fine. I've got plans. I luckily had loads spare, enough that I gave to friends and family, and then I kept for myself. But where I put them initially, I noticed how I planted them, it was just wrong. It was just wrong in the bed. I put too many in the bed, and the order I put them in was bad. I basically put 2 San Manzanos on the side and then 2 money makers in the middle. And obviously money makers, like, I don't know why it didn't click in my brain because I grew money makers last year. So I know they end up being a lot more bigger than the San Manzanos. And they grew big and proper bushed out, and then the San Manzanos literally got like blanketed by them, and it was killing them basically because yeah. So I ended up digging it all out and reconstructing it all. So I took one of the big money makers out, putting it in a separate pot, and then put in one of them yeah, one of the money makers in the middle, and then moving the Stan Malsanos in a little bit more of a better position. And they just died. They died, so I had to rip them all out. And like I said, luckily I had some spare, so I've put some in, and they're starting to thrive. They're doing well. They're starting to get flowers and everything, so hopefully they continue to grow nice and strong, and then hopefully I'll get a nice crop. So I'll be devastated if I lose out on all my tomato plants and everything, especially knowing I've given so many out to friends and family, and their plants seem to be doing utterly amazing, just literally being left to their own devices. Just typical. Very typical, I'll tell you that. On squash, I have had such an unlucky year for squash, and I have never experienced it like this. For the last 2 years I have grown them. I have planted out so many different types of varieties on top of multiple plants, and I've lost so many. And that's also including cucumbers and courgettes. I think I ended up with 4 or 5 plants of courgettes gone. Cucumbers, I think I had 3 plants gone. So I've replanted a few more, which are looking a lot more happier, a lot more stronger now. So these ones are just standard. Is it Market Mall? No. I'll see if I can find the variety of cucumbers. I've gone for that one. Don't know how well they'll still do, knowing they're still quite small, and how late in the season I've done them. But wait for the best. These, I believe, are both Yukichikiri, which I did grow a couple of years ago and loved them. So I want these to grow a little bit more stronger before I attempt to put those out. Right, this is my issue. Why did I not label anything? So I believe I've got 3 of these plants here, and they're either going to be a mix of baby boos and munchkins, but they might also be spaghetti, or they might be mashed potato. I don't know. So I'm going to see for them to get a little bit more bigger, a little bit stronger, see if they start doing any tendrils, and then judge it whether they're going to go up the arch or not. And then also got a few more mashed potato squash ones as well. We'll see. I definitely want to be absolutely inundated in squash plants and pumpkins, so I'm not mad either way, even if I have 500 mashed potato plants, or if they end up being yukichikiri or sweet dumpling, whatever ones I planted out, I'll be happy regardless. Has anyone else found it to be such a hard year for beans? I've never had success with beans. Granted, that was my first year to do them last year. God, hiccups now. Pregnancy hiccups, like no matter how much you drink, how much less you drink, how much you just talk, they get you. They get you off guard. But beans, like, yes, again, slugs have absolutely munched through every single one I've planted out. Between me literally growing them from seed straight in the ground and them coming up, and then also having them in the house and allowing them getting yay big and then putting them out and then being eaten. But they've caused me so much stress this year. Like, mine gave me so many seeds. I think I was at the point where I had about 1,000 seeds altogether. It was a mixture of like the Blue Lake, and I also had a mixture of like the dwarf ones. I had climbing beans, broad beans, runner beans, and I've gone through every single packet. That shows how many times I have reattempted to grow them, but they're finally starting to take way. So I'm hoping they'll continue, and I actually get a pretty little teepee or a pretty little arch of beans, and that I'm inundated in them. I'm praying, because I will be absolutely gutted if I have 0 luck with it. Update on sweet peas. I actually got a couple flowers. I've finally been able to say I know what sweet peas smell like now. They're lovely, not my favourite smell, and they're very pretty. but they've not done very well. They've, like, I'm at the point where I might as well just rip them out. I've had a couple of flowers, and there's still like quite a few flowers there that will probably still try and grow, but they're going brown, they're crisping up a little bit more. They're not vining as much as I would hope they would, considering how many plants there actually is. And they're going so quickly straight to seed. So I think I might just rip them up. But at least I can say I've actually successfully grown sweet peas this year. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's a bit of a long, rambly, chatty video, but it's just an update on how the garden's going and how it's gone through a bit of hell and back during the last 2 months, but it's picking up. All's good, and hopefully in the next 2 months we'll see a burst more of colours, burst more of crops, and just amazingness. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.